Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am going to go over my August wrap up for this video. I'm just going to kind of go through all the books that I read for August, and my ratings for them, and kind of a little bit of what I think about them. Um, so yeah, welcome back to my channel. Let's go ahead and get started. So the first books I'm going to go over that I am putting in my August wrap up, I actually ended up finishing them, reading them and finishing them in the end of July, but by the time I had recorded my July wrap up, I didn't know if I was going to get through them, and I was still currently reading them. So the first book is Rule of a Kingdom. It's part of a trilogy. Well, it's actually a novella, so it's like a prequel to the duet or the duology that is the Kingdom duet, which is by Rena Kent. So Rule of a Kingdom, Reign of a King, and Rise of a Queen. Those are the three like books that go together. Um, Rule of a Kingdom was a duet, so I actually didn't end up giving it a star rating because I felt like since it's like a little novella, um, it's not really a book. Well, it is, but it's like, it's just kind of like it's almost like a prologue to the duet. It kind of just introduces you to the characters, gets you ready for what the duet is going to be covering. And so then it goes into the duet of Reign of a King and Rise of a Queen. Sorry, I cannot talk today. But that makes up the Kingdom duet, which is basically so in her Royal Elite series, you end up meeting the father Jonathan King, um, and this duet follows his love story with her name is Aurora, and Aurora is actually his ex-wife's sister. So there's a bit of an age gap there, and obviously then there's the issue about her being like his ex-wife's sister, which people tend to find a little weird in the book, but when you read their story, it kind of makes sense. For Reign of a King, I gave it 4 stars out of 5, and for Rise of a Queen, I gave it 4 stars out of 5 as well. So that gives the whole overall duet 4 stars out of 5. Um, and so you're just following their story and their love for each other. Basically, um, after and this could be spoilers, but after his wife dies, he kind of loses track of her sister, and then it comes to the point where they come back in contact, the sister and him. And from that point on, he really doesn't let her escape him, so to speak, since this is considered a dark romance. It kind of goes along those lines of, he wants it, he gets it kind of thing. Um, but I really enjoyed this story. I didn't really see the twist that ended up coming, like the overall plot of both books. I didn't see the twist at the end. It kind of blew my mind, and I was like, wow, didn't expect that. Especially like following Jonathan in the Royal Elite series as you see him with his kids, or with his son and his nephew. You really kind of what's the word? I didn't really feel any empathy for him, and I didn't really feel like I understood, like, you know, him in general. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I read these on Kindle. They're on Kindle Unlimited, and I'm just going through the Rena Kent universe. So that was the next steps. So I'm very excited that I was able to continue reading Rena Kent this month. But yeah, so I don't have the physical copies, so I'll just be putting, a picture of the books here. Um, and yeah, so that was the duet. And then, of course, after that, the next step in the Rena Kent universe is to read the Royal Elite Epilogue, which is just basically an epilogue book that is about the Royal Elite couples. I did rate it 4 stars out of 5, even though, since I did own some of the Royal Elite books in a physical copy. I already read some of these epilogues because they were included as like bonus material in the paperbacks. So I kind of, for the ones that like I could tell I had already read those chapters or those epilogues, I kind of just skimmed it just to remember kind of what it ended up being, but kind of skipped through it mostly. But there was still some in there that I didn't really, that I hadn't read, and those I really enjoyed. It really made me happy to see kind of where all the Royal Elite or the Royal Elite couples ended up and where they are headed. Um, but yeah, so that was kind of what I finished my Royal Elite series off with, and I'm kind of sad, but I'm hoping to see them as the Rena Kent universe continues to go on, and as I continue to, you know, further my reading in that universe. Um, so then those all were in July, at the end of July. That's kind of where I ended July with. I ended the Royal Elite epilogue on August 2nd. So it did flow into August, but I just thought I'd include those here on my August wrap up since I did not include them in my July wrap up. So then going forward, where I truly started with in August is I read the Souls trilogy, which is by Harley LaRue. So it's Her Soul to Take, Her Soul for Revenge, and Soul of a Witch. So we'll start with Her Soul to Take, and I do have the physical copies of these as well. So we'll start with Her Soul to Take. So with Her Soul to Take, I did give it a 4 stars out of 5. It follows Leon and Ray, and they are basically living in this little, I think it's Washington town. It's just like a little tiny town where there is this cult that worships this evil god. Um, I mean, you don't really know it's an evil god, but it's a god, and it is evil. But basically, they want to sacrifice Ray to this god, and so it's all about Ray trying to survive, and Leon helps her along the way. Um, okay, let me make sure. I had to make sure on the back it does say. So Leon is a demon, and so it's kind of like a paranormal, like dark romance, is really what it is. So Leon is a demon who ends up helping her, um, trying to survive this cult, and it's just about them falling in love and finding love through survival, I guess. Um, but yeah, Harley LaRue in my book can do no wrong. I just love her. I really loved her Losers duet, and so to see this story unfold in Her Soul to Take, it was so different than the Losers duet, but I still loved it nonetheless. The way she writes spicy scenes is like in my mind, in my opinion, top tier. I just love her. So if you've never read any books by her and you enjoy dark romances, I definitely would say give her a try, because this book was just, it was amazing. And if you like fantasy but you still like dark romance, this is a good book as well. It kind of almost merges the two genres in my opinion, um, because there's demons and there's this evil god, and there's magic, like there's, it just has it all. um but yeah, so I really enjoyed this one. 4 stars out of 5 for me. um then the next one in this series is Her Soul for Revenge, and so this one I gave 3 stars out of 5, and I'm gonna tell you why. So this one follows Juniper and Zane, and it's during the same timeline as Her Soul to Take. So basically the exact same time frame, except it's just from Juniper and Zane's point of view. And here's the thing, they overlap. The stories kind of overlap a little, so you kind of know. I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but by the end of the first book, you know what's going to happen in this book. Like, you already know how it's going to end up in the end. Obviously, you don't really know how they're going to fall in love with each other because Zane is a demon as well, and Juniper actually survived the cult. They tried to sacrifice her, and she ends up surviving. Um, and so it's just about her trying to get revenge on this cult. And you kind of see the ending of where she ends up with her revenge in the first book. So to me, it made this one kind of boring, in my opinion. Like I felt a little bored going through it because I was like, I already know what's going to happen. However, of course, since it's Harley LaRue, the spicy scenes were spicing it up. And so that's what really kept me entertained is their love and their love story and how they fell in love. Um, so, I mean, overall to the story, it does add to it and it does, I feel like sometimes I want all point of views for a certain timeline, certain story. And so it is nice to see that, but I felt like I already knew what was going to happen. And so it made getting to the end not as urgent, I guess you could say. Um, so that was the second book in the trilogy. Um, Her Soul for Revenge, 3 stars out of 5. The next one in this trilogy, and the final book in this trilogy, is Soul of a Witch. And this one follows Everly and Caleb. I pronounce it Caleb. I'm not actually sure if that's how you pronounce it, but that's how I pronounce it. And I actually really liked this one. It was I'm going to say it again, it is part of the same timeline. So it's the same timeline just from Everly and Caleb's point of view. And Caleb is a demon, but Everly is a witch. And so Everly has power. And the thing is she used to be the witch for the cult. So I'm not going to say much more because I don't want to spoil anything. But their love was kind of very insta lovey for me. And so sometimes with insta love, it doesn't really hit right. And I think that I would have liked a little bit more tension in this book. However, again, I'm going to repeat myself one more time. Harley LaRue just knows how to write spicy scenes, in my opinion. And so the spicy scenes were still very spicy and kind of unexpected, I will say, in this book. I didn't really expect the spice to go the way that it went sometimes. And if you've read this book, you might understand what I'm saying. Um, but nonetheless, I still did really enjoy it, and I really liked where the overall story arc ended because in the first 2 books you don't really get to see how this one ends. So seeing how this one ends and where everything ends up in the overall world and story was really really nice, and I really liked how she wrapped it up. Um, and so I don't even know if I told you how many stars I gave this one, but this one I gave 3 out of 5 stars. Just because I did still feel a little bored. Like, even though I did like where it ended up, I did feel like it was necessary to see their point of view, see their story. It's still, I don't know, wasn't as, to me, I was comparing it to Her Soul to Take, and that's where like Her Soul to Take just like truly blew my mind. And so I felt like it couldn't really reach that level. But I do think it is above the second one. So actually, I think I did say it was actually more like a 3.5 stars. So correction, 3.5 stars for Soul of a Witch. Um, but yeah, so that was the trilogy. So just these 3 books. That's what I started August off with. After that, I kind of wanted to read some more fluffy romances. Um, Something that like didn't really need a lot of brain power, so to speak, and something that I thought I could get through pretty easily and pretty fast because I knew my magical readathon was coming up and I didn't want to jump into a whole new series or anything, so I was reading some standalones. And so the first one I picked up was Canadian Boyfriend by Jenny Holiday. This one is a rom-com, basically. Well, it's not even a rom-com, it's just a romance. But I gave it 3 stars out of 5. And I actually never even wrote a review on Goodreads for this one yet, but I will tell you why I gave it 3 stars over more stars. I enjoyed it. I do think the overall story was really cute. I do think that the overall romance is really cute. And I do think that, you know, I don't know. Like, my thing is, so it follows Aurora and Mike. Is his name Mike? I think his name is Mike. I don't know how I could forget because literally she calls him his full name is Mike. Why am I forgetting? I think I just kind of blocked it out, to be honest. His full name is Mike Martin. Okay, and he's a hockey player. And the thing is that she called him Mike Martin the entire book. Like, never referred to him as Mike, only Mike Martin. It was always Mike Martin, Mike Martin, Mike Martin, Mike Martin, and it drove me nuts. It drove me insane. It to the point to where when I was reading it, I would start to just, as I saw her to reference Mike, I just said Mike, 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 Mike. But it was like because she met him when she was younger, like she was a teenager. She was working at a mall, and they met because he was in town for a hockey tournament, and this is before he was an NHL player. But they met, and she was kind of like hmm, she was just a little bit more reserved into herself as a kid in high school, and so she created this basically fake boyfriend, and it was Mike. When she met him, Mike, she kind of created him in her mind as her fake boyfriend, that she would tell her friends and well tell the people at school and everybody that she had this Canadian boyfriend. And so, they met the one time at the mall, and then they don't see each other again for, I believe it was like 13 years or something like that. And then all of a sudden, his daughter is in her dance class, and he is a widower. And so, if you have any triggers with spouses passing, even though it's not really on page, they still refer to it. Definitely go into this book knowing that they do talk about that. Um, and so he's a single dad with a daughter who's taking her dance class because she's like a ballet teacher, or actually I don't think she taught ballet at first, but basically she was in ballet and then she went to go teach instead when she dropped out of ballet. So they come in contact again and things kind of pick up from there. And so the whole story is about how she remembered him as her Canadian boyfriend, and it's just their love story and her helping him out because he's a single dad now. And so overall, story really great. I loved it, but it it knocked it down to a 3 stars from a 4 stars for me because of the whole Mike Martin thing. So Jenny Holiday, I don't think you'll ever see this, but if you did, don't do that again, please. Because it makes me worried to actually read another book by her, just because I don't want I that like I can't do it. I cannot. It drove me nuts that she just referred to him as Mike Martin the whole time. It made it seem more like she was in love with the idea of him than she was actually in love with him, because he should have just ended up being just Mike, not Mike Martin, the NHL star. Just he should have just ended up being Mike, in my opinion. So 3 stars out of 5 for Canadian boyfriend. After that, I ended up going to, and I picked up an Ali Hazelwood book, actually. So I ended up picking up The Love Hypothesis. The amount of time that this book has been sitting on my bookshelf and I have not picked it up is truly astonishing. Like, I've had it for so long, and I've never read Ali Hazelwood before this. This was my first Ali Hazelwood book. Um, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I will say at first she started to, so it follows Olive and Adam, and whole name is Adam Carlson. He's like a young professor at her school where she's pursuing her PhD. And honestly, like at first she started to call him Adam Carlson all the time, and it really started to throw me off and throw me like for a loop because I was like, how am I going to pick up another book where the female main character is calling the male main character by his full name? Like I just got done with a book like that and it drove me nuts, and now she's doing it again, but it was only at first and then eventually she just calls him Adam. So it ended up being fine. But anyway, besides the point, it follows Olive and Adam, and they are he's a professor at Stanford and she's a PhD student at Stanford, and basically she is trying to prove to her friend that she's not into a guy that her friend likes because she went on a date with him. But she with the guy that her friend likes, she went on a date with him before, but then it didn't work out, and so she's trying to prove to her friend that she does not and like him and doesn't and wouldn't care if they started dating. And so she um is saying that she was going on a date and her friend finds her in the hallway of the school because that's where she actually was. She was at the lab, and she just grabs the first guy she sees and kisses him. And who is it but Adam Carlson, the young professor who like nobody likes. I guess he's really tough on his students, and so nobody likes him. And so then the rumor starts that they're dating, and so they kind of have to go through that. So it's fake dating. I really liked it. I did feel like there was a part at the end that I was not sure why she didn't feel like she could just talk to him about it. But I think they were just trying to, I think they just started to skirt around their true feelings for each other at the end, until they finally couldn't. And so, um, but overall, I really enjoyed it. I really at first wasn't feeling Adam. Like I was like, okay, he's okay, but like it's whatever. But towards the end, I really liked it, and I know that this is supposed to be based off of like, I think he's supposed to be based off of like Kylo Ren. I think that's like the whole theory is that this is like a Kylo Ren fanfic, and I can see that. However, I will say if I never heard that, if I never heard that the love hypothesis is supposed to be like a Kylo Ren fanfic, I don't think that I would have picked that out. So do with that what you will. I'm sorry if I'm the first one to tell you that, and you've never read it and you go into it and now you all you think about is Kylo Ren. I'm really sorry for that, but um, yeah. So love hypothesis, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I decided to continue my um, I decided to continue with my journey through the Addicted Calloway series, and so I read Fuel the Fire by Krista and Becca Ritchie, which is follows Rose and Connor, um, and I gave it 5 stars. 5 stars all around. I think, yeah, this is the only book that I gave 5 stars for August, and I truly feel like it deserves it. I just, I really love Rose and Connor. Like, I think I just see myself, a lot of who I am in Rose. And I think that's why I just truly relate to her and how she feels, because I just feel like I also feel the same ways, and that I feel like I'm the Rose of my family and of my sisters. So I don't know. I love Rose. I love her so much. And Connor just oof, just I love Connor so much. He's like, I think if Connor were a real person in real life, I would jump at the opportunity to be with him. Like he's just so perfect in my opinion and in my mind. Even though both Rose and Connor kind of come off as cold and not really um empathetic or sympathetic. I just it's I feel like they hide it, and I can relate to that. So 5 stars out of 5. It just keeps following their story. I will say I don't want to say too much because I don't want to ruin anything for the whole series as a whole. So if you like Addicted to You, definitely keep going. Definitely keep going. If you don't really like Addicted to You, I say keep going. Keep going. So basically, just keep going in the Addicted series. It's so good. And definitely read the Calloway sister series as well. And I would suggest reading it in the reading order. I think they put them in the books. Let me see. Pretty sure. Yeah. So they have the order. You can see they have the order in the book. Definitely follow that and read it how they say to read it, because it's so beautiful. The whole story, the whole, like, I just love everyone, and I'm really actually kind of sad that I only have 2 books left in this series, and I'm sad to say bye to these characters. I don't want to yet. So I'll probably get to them later. I obviously have the magical readathon, and just like a tiny update on that, I am sticking to it so far. So that's exciting. Um, I think that's the last one I ended on. Yep, yep. I have another one that is on my Goodreads, but it's for September, so you'll see that in September. So Feel the Fire is the last one. Um, so overall, my month was mostly romance, some dark romance, some fluffy romance, and that's all I got. I didn't have any fantasy, so I'm hoping to get to some fantasy for September and going forward, especially as we get closer to the spooky season in October, because I feel like, I love to read like really magical, whimsical um, stories in October during Halloween time, because I just feel like it's the vibes. It's the vibes, honestly. But yeah, so these are all, plus the ones on my Kindle, of course. But oh gosh, these are all of them. These are all of them for August. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 plus the duet, 7, 8 plus the novella, 9 plus the epilogue, 10. So 10 books total. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good month for me. So yeah, thank you for listening to me go on and on about what I've read this month. If you enjoy this video, please make sure you like and subscribe. If you are enjoying my content in general, like and subscribe. If you want to let me know if you've read any of these books in the comments, and what you thought of them and what you rated them, I would love that. Definitely leave any comments down below for anything you want me to do going forward. If you want me to start doing like book rack videos, maybe is kind of what I'm thinking going forward. Definitely hit me up on Instagram if you want to talk books. I am very active over there, and of course, follow my Goodreads and my Storygraph if you want to get like up to date, of what I'm reading and what I'm currently reading, what I'm going through, what I think in more detail on all of these, without spoilers. I try to keep all my reviews without spoilers, so definitely, um, go check those out, if you want to. But thank you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.